Welcome, everybody. Today, Jess and I are going to have a dynamic conversation about Christmas. And in fact, we are going to have a look at some raw and vulnerable ideas in which you can reduce the pressure, the overwhelm, the dread when your Christmas isn't so merry. Welcome, Jess. You ready for this dynamic conversation?
Hey Claire, hey everyone. Yes, I have definitely felt that dread that comes up when you're like the calendar turns over, it's December, and then all of a sudden you're like thinking everything's going to be merry and feel light, but sometimes that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes it kind of catches up on you when you're like, oh, but there's that tension, there's the things that I need to do, the to-do list of everything that I need to get done before Christmas comes. And so, yeah, that's the conversation that we're going to be having today, right? We're going to be helping to bring in that flow and that ease for this Christmas period.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you're talking about that dread, the overwhelm, the pressure, how easy is it to look to everybody else who looks like they've got it together and you just cringe. It's like, how do they make it look so easy?
Mm,
Maybe they have got a strategy that's working for them. Maybe they're putting on a mask and performing and making it look like everything's perfect. But Jess and I are here to have that real conversation about having that self-awareness, going underneath the pressure, the shooting, the guilt, to provide you with strategies to make Christmas so much easier in the way that you want to do Christmas. So
mm,
here we are, Jess.
mm.
I'm curious from your point of view, what have you noticed with clients and people around you with the tension, the pressure, the dread? What have you noticed in the way that it's showing up for people?
Yeah, thinking of a specific client, she's always loved Christmas. It's always been one of those childlike play times where you can just be your authentic self and be present with the family. But over
Yeah.
the last few years, she has noticed herself feeling that tension building when it comes to December time. She has maybe not recently, but she has moved states, and she's living with her husband now from where her family childhood home was. And every single year, she starts feeling that tension of like, oh, well, I've got to go home and I've then got to host because my family's getting older and I'm that person now. And so that tension has started to put more pressure on her rather than coming into that childlike play that she used to feel. And I know that a lot of people would be able to relate to this in their own sort of way. I definitely can relate to this in my own sort of way as well. So yeah, again, it's just being about that self-awareness where you notice what's actually coming up for you, and
Yeah.
that's when we're able to start to shift things.
Yeah. So it sounds like with that client, there on one hand, there's her ideas about, happy family and her role in the family. And then on the other hand, there's what makes life easier for her and what brings her joy and her well-being. And
Mm,
so when we're talking about stress or the tension, this is that definition of stress where you're being pulled in two different directions. And
mm,
this is where we can pause and have a look at the motivation of why we are being pulled in two different directions. When you notice this particular client, Jess, it sounds like she has probably a healthy idea of a family wanting best for everybody, and then her stepping out of that or being distant or separate. Sounds like she's almost taking on that guilt that she's the person who's not making Christmas what everybody else wants it to be.
It's almost like she's that stress that's pulling her from one side to the other. It's almost like she's still trying to meet her family's needs and be that person that she always had been, that with that childlike play, like I mentioned. But at this point, she's like, but my needs might have shifted now, things have changed. I'm with my husband in a different state now. Maybe she has new ideas of what she would like for Christmas. Maybe she wants to start new traditions, but yeah, I think where what's going on with her is that she is being swayed. She's like back and forward with what is it, what should I be doing? What is the right thing that I need to be doing here? And yeah, that does create that stress that we're speaking about, doesn't it?
Yeah, because then even when you're saying like, oh, well, what's the right thing?
Mm,
We're self-imposing that judgment. Okay, well, if what's right for me may not be right for others. Am I going to have people, what's the consequences? Are they going to judge me? Are they going to
yeah.
talk badly about my behind my back?
Mm,
Am I going to be, is there going to be silent treatment? Is there going to be condescending comments coming my way? Who does she think like our mind could go a million different miles an hour. And I
mm,
wanted to share with this particular chat what we need to look at to be able to feel more empowered about making that decision that works for us or works for me, works for you. Because it's so, so easy to be completely flooded by the doubt, the confusion, the sleepless nights, the overthinking for the month of December. And then we've got this 2 hour family event or the thing that we think we should be doing. And gosh, it
mm,
can be so consuming and the grief and everything that comes up with it.
mm,
Before we before we jumped on this chat, you were sharing with me that your family have really beautiful family values about the coming together. And yet there's this part within you that's like, oh gosh, I may or may not be there this Christmas. I'm
mm.
curious if you wanted to share with everybody what sort of symptoms or what you notice come up with you when you were pulled in this tension.
Absolutely. I recently myself, I've moved countries, and so I'm not with my family for this Christmas specifically. And I noticed the shoulds coming up, like I should be at home, I should be there celebrating with my family or spending this time with my family. And so that was creating a lot of overthinking for me. Like I was overthinking. I was on the phone with my family, my sister, saying like, "Well, I think I'm going to come home, but I'm not sure yet." So it was that me stuck in what should I do based on what I think my family want me to do versus what should I actually do based on this change that I'm creating for myself, you know? So it
Yeah,
was, yeah, it's interesting because coming back to that self-awareness piece and really asking myself these questions, and it comes down to, well, what is it that what is it that I'm actually, again, the motivation. What am I actually motivated towards? What is actually it that well, sorry, what do I think I need to be doing right now? For me, it's actually about the keeping my family's emotions in a merry spirit, which is really
yeah,
interesting because yeah, for my life, I've taken on of that responsibility of my family's emotions and how they are. And around Christmas time, and some people may relate, there's a lot of like heaviness and grief that comes up around this time for us. So, especially around this time, I take on more responsibility for it. And so, having moved countries and not actually being there, in my mind, I'm like, well, how are they going to feel? What are they going to do? How are they going to control that themselves if I'm not there? And so, I think that was where that tension and the symptoms and things had come up based on that. Mm,
yeah. And if we unpack that, we've got that role of who you were growing up in the family and the family that knew who you were, just coming in to be the generous one, the fixer, the helper, the pleaser, the get it together role. And then without you playing that role, it's like, oh my gosh, who am I going to be this Christmas? What's the consequences if I'm not there? And we know your family can absolutely live without you. They don't want to, but what role does that leave you to play if you're not with your family this Christmas, Jess? Have you considered that?
yeah, yep. I think. The role is more so just, well, what I've realized is
Yeah.
that the role is that I get to just be a family member that gets to feel love and gets to love and feel merry, and that there's there's being like or being online, I can call them up and have the video chat with the technology these days, and I still get to be a part of it, but I don't have to be there anymore, making sure that everyone's doing okay and everyone's having a great time. I get to be here where I am, chatting with them, and we all just get to have great chats and do our own thing. So that's, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's the realization that I've come to myself.
Now, this is the helpful piece for people, if you don't mind me pushing a little harder there, is if we reverse the calendar and having a look at that moment when you realized I'm going to be in Australia, maybe not in New Zealand. If we slowed down that movie of your mind, do you remember what was what were the feelings like for you? Was it like guilt? Was it doubt? What was the very first thing that you noticed when all of this, yeah, stress was coming up?
Definitely guilt. It was definitely guilt because I feel like I haven't been at many Christmases in the last 10 years because I've been traveling. And with the last year and a half being at home and then leaving just before Christmas time, the guilt was the thing that
Yeah.
came up.
Yeah. And now the thing with guilt, guilt is fascinating because if we imagine guilt like carrying something really heavy, and in fact, in the justice system, if somebody's found guilty, we will isolate them. We will make them carry heavy burdens. Like the idea of being guilty tells us that there's we would call it a values violation. So you're doing something against what's important to you. And that whole role of being that family person, oh, I feel guilty. I'm going to carry the burden and the weight if
Mm,
I'm not doing or being that person.
mm,
And that is where, especially in coaching, you and I would drill in to say, okay, well, why are you carrying such guilt and self-punishment? Where has this come from?
mm,
And then even moving into the shame that who does that make you if you're not, keeping everything together? Is this making sense with like how you've had to unpack the motivation, the assessment, what's right for you?
yeah, absolutely. And it's almost empowering, even just being able to see this. Like when you're sort of self-coaching and you're asking yourself these questions, you're realizing what was actually beneath all of this. For me, the guilt, it's like, wow, like how long have I been holding on to this for? And how many Christmases do I want to play out this emotion, this pattern? How and so anyway, for me, because I've done quite a lot of inner work, and I know that a lot of the listeners will have done this as well, it's it's really empowering to, that's the word that's coming to me, to be able to even just be aware that this is going on because now you have you've opened up a new choice for yourself.
Yeah,
That awareness has opened up another choice to either dig deeper or make a choice to let it go, do the inner work that's right. But yeah, I think it's getting to that point of realizing, is it the guilt? Is it shame? What has actually been going on beneath the surface that's creating this?
yeah,
So yes, I have been noticing that through unpacking all of this with my specific situation to answer that question. Yeah, it's such a oh, the word that just keeps coming to me is empowering. It's such an empowering thing to be able to be aware of this.
yeah. Well, then the next piece, if we were in a coaching session or working with someone with that guilt, do you know the interesting thing is people won't put the guilt down very easily
Mm,
because it's like being responsible. If you've been the people pleaser, the generous hard worker, the fixer, it's responsible to carry the burdens, carry the heaviness for the family, to do all of the things. And it's really weird because we could say, well, just let the guilt go, but the psyche and your energy won't, because
Mm,
it's so much part of your identity to be responsible, to carry the burdens, to make sure everybody's okay.
mm,
And so then when we unpack it a little deeper and say, well, if you're not following the invisible rules, what's the consequence? And again, I know I'm putting you on the spot, Jess, but what have you seen within yourself or clients where they're they're worried about the consequences? And I'll start off with just one there, but like the fear of being excluded. Like, what are the other things that you've seen, the consequences of clients like really working through and worried about?
yeah. Well, I think the fear of being excluded is a really good one. The fear of being judged, like imagine thinking that you're being judged by your family, that will make you feel excluded again, I guess. Um,
Yeah,
Thinking about the client in the example that we were speaking about earlier, she was the fear of not being what her family wanted.
yeah.
So this one was keeping her within that tension, keeping her within playing out the, okay, well, I'll keep coming to your state and I'll keep uh, doing the Christmases the way that you wanted to because she didn't want her family to think that she was different or she didn't want her family to. The consequence would have been, yeah, that her family's like, well, I don't want to change these traditions. I don't want to do something different. So yeah, to name a couple off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. We do these invisible obligations going into traditions and things based on the rules that we were taught as a child to get approval, like do what your mother says, don't disappoint the family. These invisible rules to get approval, to belong, to be accepted, still come up very, very, very strongly within our nervous system and our beliefs.
Mm,
And you may feel that frustration, like, well, I want to do something else for myself. But the rules from growing up say,
mm,
no, 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 no. You have to like play by mum's rules before
mm,
you get to go and play, right? Like you have to clean your room before you get to play.
mm,
And it's really fascinating because the rules that I had to abide by to get family approval are going to be different to what you had to do to follow the rules. And so that's why when we talk about coaching or that self-inquiry, we can't tell you specifically what to do because the consequences for you breaking your family's rules
mm-hmm,
are going to be different to you compared to compared to somebody else's family, right? So this is where it comes back to who are you in your family and
mm,
who are you as an individual out in the world as a grown up, the new version of you, because it's almost like oil and water. Your family want you to follow the rules that they know that you'll follow. And then you've been out in the world as like, no, I'm a completely different person now.
mm.
But we cross that threshold back to family and we get pulled into the old way. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that the point that we wanting to get across is to help with that self-awareness of what's actually going on. And I'm curious to know as well, because everyone has their different everyone's very personal based on their different stories and what's going on for them. Like you say, I'm curious to know what are some of the things that you've noticed with your Christmases or your clients as well that have come up, some of the consequences that have maybe kept you previously in old patterns.
Yeah. My type of client is usually working through a lot of people pleasing patterns or their self-worth, where it's
Mm,
like they wait their turn, like they give, 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 and hopefully once they've given enough, then Santa's going to reward them that they've been good, and then they get to go do what they want to do. But the type of clients that I work with, whether they've been through narcissistic type abuse or toxic relationships, because they've been so giving that
Mm,
they are really uncomfortable with receiving. They're really uncomfortable with stating what they want.
mm,
And in those family dynamics, even if they did go to Christmas and follow the rules, family would find something wrong with them.
mm,
And then if they didn't go, family would find something wrong with them. And this tends to be that narcissistic type pattern that plays out, that they will generate a level of confusion within the person who's trying to give.
mm,
And once you get into that confused pattern, this is when you're now completely susceptible to the drama and the game plays. And then they go, see, you're exactly how we remember you to be, that dramatic, sensitive, one. It's like, no, I've done the work. I'm a good person.
mm,
So I've seen this with my clients, and I've had my own experience of this, where no matter what you do, they're going to find something wrong. And instead of looking to them for the answers, a lot of the work has to be done to shine that light from within, to know what's right for you, and to be able to face the fears
mm.
of the storm that's going to come no matter what you do.
Yeah,
and and it's about setting yourself free from, yeah, free from that dynamic.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a bit of a raw, vulnerable one, right? Because this
yeah.
goes against all of society of like, be there with your family for Christmas, or but what if your family's just rubbish?
Yeah. Oh, and that's exactly the thing. I think this conversation, even with two different sort of sides of stories, with our own experiences, with our clients' experiences that we've helped, um, it's there's something in here. It really goes to show how every person and every story can feel very different, but also comes back to what's actually beneath it, which could be similar to the other person. So it's like there's the guilt, there's the consequence of like I'm needing to do what's right so that
Yes,
I'm still feeling accepted and belong. And this is a perfect invitation with the self-awareness, the perfect invitation for you to actually go in and, like you say, face those fears and set the strong, solid foundations within who you are, shine that light within who you are, so that it can start to feel different and you can create boundaries, make new choices. Maybe you are someone where your family, it's not working, you're not, it's you're wanting to create new traditions. And then
yeah,
maybe it's something like with me, like I've shared that, I'm really wanting to be with my family, but that doesn't mean that I don't get to have that connection with my family because I'm not physically there. So it's really about seeing this and seeing what else is there for you to and how to feel much lighter in this Christmas, right? That's
yeah,
everyone has their own sort of story.
yeah. And it comes back to that very first point where you're noticing the doubt or the shoulding, I should be
Hmm.
there. And what happens with the body and the mind when you start to should, it's instantly a sense of tension and being trapped, following the rules, the obligation, no choice. Like, oh, should be there. I should do the thing. I should host. I should. And what we teach people, as you know, Jess, is to switch it to, well, I could host or I could be there. And it's not because you like, will or won't attend Christmas, but bringing in the could starts to free up the body and the mind to breathe and go, well, yeah, I have choice. I have freedom. I could go, I couldn't go. I could bring the turkey or I could bring the sausages. Like it starts to bring in choice. And
Mm.
then what we know to be true with like once you're in that calmer state, these creative ideas flow in, you're not feeling as guilty.
Hmm.
And then you can approach family from that space of good, kind intention instead of the white knuckles of like, why won't you hear me and understand me?
Yeah.
You drive me nuts.
Oh, it's so true that should versus could when you make that shift. Oh, it's freeing. And that's the whole point of this, right? It's so freeing. And I kind of want to, I'll bring in an example. It's not to do with Christmas, but when I was living at home, I was living with my nana, and it was sort of my job to do the lawns. And
Yeah.
so there was a time where I would just feel like I was obliged to do the lawns and I should be doing them. And, having a busy week, I should do the lawns now. And once we were actually, because this is the should detox or the should versus could shift, this was actually introduced by you in Elevate and Evolve. And I know that everyone in Elevate and Evolve were like, wow, this is like life changing. And so myself at this time, I was like, well, I could do the lawns this afternoon. And once I actually shifted from I should do the lawns to I could do the lawns, I don't know what it was, but within me, I was very excited. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go do the lawns because like you say, it's that you have the choice. It's not like you're being obliged to do it. You have that choice. And I loved doing the lawns from that point onwards. And so something just had shifted within me. And it was that fact that I got to make my own choices. And instead of saying like I should do the lawns on Tuesday, I was like, well, I could do them on Tuesday, but actually Wednesday works for me better. And it's just a whole, it is really, it elevates you. So um, bringing the should detox, noticing all of the shoulds that are going on within, I should be hosting, I should have already wrapped my Christmas presents, I should be, should. It's like, how can we bring in the awareness on those and then have a bit of a should detox and make that shift to the could?
Yeah, well, you have to finish that story for the listeners because when you went to mow the lawns, what happened?
Oh, true. I got stuck, and well, that kind of happened often. I would get stuck, and then all of a sudden, this oil started spraying out of the lawnmower. And I remember because I was so clear, because I was like really happy to be doing the lawns, I was able to make a fast decision, turn it off, get it to under the shelter. And the whole situation that was what we could consider a bit of a disaster because there was oil going everywhere. I was fine with it. It didn't affect my mood at all. I was like, oh well, let's get someone in and figure this out and fix this and it'll be okay. I'll be able to mow the lawn. I was pretty much finished the lawns as well, but it really does something to the way that you respond to life. Where I could have, if I was still feeling obliged to, I could have definitely been, it could have put me in a worse mood. I was actually, oh, well, I had this freedom of choice. This was my choice to do it. This happened, and let's move ne to the next step.
Yeah. So when you had the freedom to mow the lawns, when you wanted the lawnmower said, yeah, nah, like I'm so used to you pushing with such vigor of like I hate doing this. And like, oh well, I'm light and easy. And the lawnmower was like, I don't know what to do. And it's the one now having a
Yeah.
having a tantrum, like, I don't know you, Jess.
Yeah, it's like, what is this? I've got to wait. I've still got to catch up here.
Yeah,
Mm,
and that's the fun of, as you were sharing there, your attitude shifts. The curious thing, isn't it, when you are shooting yourself and obligating yourself, there's that rebellious part of us that's like, how, don't tell me what to do. And then
mm,
when you bring the empowerment back to yourself to say, well, actually, I'm choosing to do this,
mm,
the yeah, the sense of self-responsibility, self-awareness comes in.
mm,
This is where, when we come back to the Christmas theme, is doing what you can to find the fun and the lightness and the joy in all of your decisions, whether you're there with your grandparents or not there. It's coming back to making sure you look after your well-being and what sparks you up instead of waiting for the world to change so that you feel lighter. It's like bring that responsibility back to you.
mm,
And I guess this is that number one. intention was to share this conversation, to look at the rules that you're following and to notice how you're responding to that, and that
Mm,
you have that choice to come back to that sense of freedom.
mm. Because, yeah, the truth is, once you're able to come back to you, you realize, well, I'm not actually the person, I'm not actually in charge of other people's emotions. I'm not actually in charge of how this day goes. When you come back to your own well-being, it's like it's the it's the generic story, right? Or the generic quote, is it? Where it's like fill your own cup first before you can pour into other people. When you actually have your own cup full, then you're able to pouring into other people's cup is looking like you being your authentic self. When you can be
Yeah.
your authentic self, you can be genuinely happy with how you are. Like you get to just be smiley. You get to be so present in what is actually going on around you. And I think that is the greatest gift here for Christmas, right? If you can be your present self, not only will you enjoy it, but there won't be this performing and needing other people to manipulating how other people experience their Christmas. It's like actually everyone gets to experience their Christmas their way. And the greatest gift is for you and others is to truly be you and your authentic self, present, enjoying the moment, which comes off that energy will come off or just be radiate to other people, and then
Yeah.
they will start to feel it. You it's almost like if we put it in a way, you can lead through being your authentic self and give other people the opportunity to feel into that magic as well and also be present. And so that's a much lighter feeling, more joy, more laughter, like more smiles, more connection when we can free ourselves of what previously had been going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And before we wrap things up, I hear you talk about being your authentic self and being present. I want to share with people who are listening, if you've got that stepmother or that uncle or that person who's just gonna be like Jess's lawnmower and flick the hot oil around and just be really, underhanded with their comments,
Mm,
this is where it comes back to noticing if you're going to take on board
mm,
their energy or just isn't that interesting and continue to have that choice of like, yeah, I'm not getting involved in that drama. I'm not doing the performance. I'm
mm,
not putting on, yeah, the people pleasing type mask. It really is like, yeah, I'm just not taking that on board
mm,
and letting other people simmer in their juices.
mm,
I've had this experience where, go to Christmas and people will say underhanded things. And it's fascinating, Jess, if you're okay with the different social expectation, if you actually just don't say anything
mm,
and then they like wait for you to bite because that's what they're used to you doing, or
mm.
waiting for you to like please to like fix up the discomfort in the room, if you just don't say anything, it's fascinating to watch how how they deal with that, because this is where you see that real insecure version of them
Mm,
instead of them pulling you into that game. And as you said there, being that authentic self is like, yeah, I'm not playing that game. I'm
mm,
not playing that game. I'm not getting pulled down into yeah, into that role that they used to do when I was a child. And then I'd arc up and then it would be like, yeah, see, she's wrong. And like, no, just let them let them just
yeah.
show themselves, right?
Yeah, that's such a great point to bring up. Even you explaining that, I was thinking, yes, this is something that I've done previously and also noticed clients do previously, where it's like, you don't actually have to justify yourself. You don't actually have to explain to anyone anything. You can just choose to be quiet and not really contribute to that sort of energy, that sort of conversation. Even thinking about people, I know a lot of people. especially with like personal development and like the health and wellness sort of that if that's their approach to life. A lot of people over the years I've noticed have gone from maybe drinking to less drinking or not drinking at all. And Christmas time for some families, especially in New Zealand, I'm sure it might be the same in Australia. I'm not sure, but it's about like coming together, but having that celebration drink and then maybe a few too many drinks, and that's how it goes, which is great for some. But if you're someone who is entering this space where that's always sort of been the way, and you don't do that anymore, you may get comments like, "Oh, why aren't you drinking? Just have a drink. It's Christmas."
Mhm.
And even what you shared there, it's like you don't even have to justify yourself and saying, well, I'm not drinking anymore, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm okay with my coconut water, or
Eliminate. Yeah.
I'm okay with my mocktail, or I'm really, really happy right now with my lemonade, like you say. And that is empowering in itself because it's like, yeah, you didn't have to give too much to them, but you also gave enough to them. And then uh, like you say, allow them to deal with it the way that they want to deal with it. So, yeah, it's really building those boundaries, creating these strong foundations within you, and that just sets a standard even for the new year to come and forever, right? It's really incredible stuff, this work.
Yeah, yeah. And then, as you said, then imagine the new you next year, how you show up. Because if they can't ruffle your feathers or push your
Yeah.
buttons or touch on those boundaries that you've changed your position,
Mm.
leaves them really vulnerable. They won't know how to handle you, which is probably the best
Yeah. Yeah, really sets
if
that tone
you've
for the
got one
new
of
year.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I hope this conversation has been beneficial for everybody involved. I know that I've even learnt a few things here with you, Jess, today about, the the idea of the lawnmower and the splattering and where we could all just have a giggle and just get on with getting things fixed rather than pulling our mental health and our well-being down into old problems that could have burnt for a long time. It's just like, no, it can be lighter. It really can with that choice, right?
Yeah, and you know what? It's um myself and Claire, we behind the scenes, we've been sharing our own stories from, previous Christmases and things. And even just thinking now, like that has helped me. So thank you, Claire. This has helped me to even see even further, or have that self-awareness of even more, the guilt thing, realizing what's actually going on beneath the surface. So I'm not sure, like sharing. Chatting about like your stories and things with a supportive friend or a coach or someone that, if you would like extra support, just helping you to get to the bottom of it so that you can um, start to do that work that's necessary, set those boundaries, choose differently, like I have done with Claire. And again, just wanted to say thank you, Claire, for this conversation, for us collaborating in this conversation, for everyone to benefit from, and also helping me to get to these places as well.
Oh, you're so welcome, Jess, and thank you for being open with this conversation. If I leave a little note there for everybody, just think of how incredible 2026 and so on and so forth can be when you step into that family dynamic or step away from that family dynamic. If you can take on this puzzle and not have your triggers pushed, not fake positivity, but like genuinely elevate, evolve your identity. This is the ultimate challenge for then who you are when you show up for work next year or relationships. Enjoy this time as a way of growing in the most accelerated way, right? It's like
Mm.
these ultimate challenges, they will get you to grow faster than avoiding it, basically.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible. So if anyone has any takeaways that they want to let us know about, or any breakthroughs through this, or what your favorite parts of this conversation are, we would love to connect with you and have conversations with you. And yeah, this is all about everyone elevating and evolving together, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thanks, Jess. Have an incredible
Yeah,
Christmas.
you too, Claire. Have a good Christmas, everyone. Bye.
Bye.